I've been playing Arena for the past 2 to 3 weeks on the Wave 0 testing before closed beta, and this is my feedback that I gave to BSG. So before I get into this, I want to just preface that I have been playing Arena for about 3 weeks, I want to say, in the Wave 0 testing, sort of really closed early testing with a lot of the Sherpas, emissaries, developers, that kind of stuff. I've been playing with and against them, and also watched the DreamHack Hanover tournament as well, and it kind of ties into both playing and viewing. So I'll go out and say this: these are very, very large changes, quite sweeping suggestions that will most likely need a large overhaul. So I understand that it might not be possible due to, you know, obviously they have time constraints and they want to just put out the game and make their game that they want to make. But for this game to succeed as an esports title, which I assume is what BSG wants, these mechanics need to be simplified or even removed completely. They work in an online survival FPS RPG game like Tarkov, like main EFT, but are kind of too nuanced and complex for people to enjoy in a fast-paced environment. And I don't think that's great for viewers and also for players playing. So the first suggestion I have is the kind of two things in one that kind of tie into each other very well, is the cleanup crew and also the game mode and its issues that kind of tie into the cleanup crew being a thing because it's needed for the game mode and its issues. The cleanup crew is not a good mechanic for any competitive tournament where a 1v1 ends without 2 players fighting or playing the objective. It's literally the opposite of hype and just annoys players and viewers. What most other competitive shooters have is a game mode where if the timer runs out, a team wins, right? This requires an objective to be met from both teams. For example, the objective of the blue team is to defend an area from the red team. If the red team does not capture the area, the blue team wins. If the red team succeeds in capturing the area, they win the round, right? That is just generally really basic way of how competitive game modes work, and they work well. They have worked well for years. Currently in Arena, what you have is you have an objective for both teams, the same exact objective. So then you're kind of like playing chicken with the other team to try and see who goes for the objective first. Then obviously you have the cleanup crew that comes in because no one's captured the objective and they just want to end the round quickly. So then what you have is you have, for example, what we've had in the tournament, in the DreamHack Hanover tournament. Literally, I mean, it's happened multiple times. It was a 1v2 and the team of 2 that had the advantage have killers spawn right behind them and shoot them in the back. And then the solo that's at a disadvantage wins the round.
The players, and currently Splinty's being hit up as well. Long range fight, unable to connect, but Cheeky's Scav has died. It's only terror attacks against Splinty, and Brax has been hit up. He will go down as well on towards the Scav, and it's then lose yet another round.
How is that in any way competitive or fun for the players or the viewers watching? That is so anticlimactic. And also, it doesn't even give the chance for a solo player to actually show off their skills. It's just an easy win. It's just a random RNG win that like, oh, cool, okay, that works. Yeah, sure. And there's no hype. So my proposal is kind of a game mode, or like a sort of a game mode concept that applies to the Tarkov universe. What I said is having 2 boxes on different sides of the map, similar to what we have where there's 2 capture points on different sides of the map, but there's loot boxes. Could be whatever. Could be a safe, whatever. And they both contain 1 loaded flare gun, red flare gun each. The red team is then tasked with looting the flare from the box and shooting it into the sky to win the round. But the blue team essentially is tasked with stopping the red team from shooting the flare. The red team can loot the flare, obviously, but they need to shoot it to win the round. Blue team is unable to loot the containers with the flares and are unable to pick up the flares from bodies or from the ground. So after 6 rounds, the team swaps sides. Now, obviously, 6 rounds because of the fact that it's usually a first to 7 rounds wins the match. So after 6 rounds, obviously, if one team kind of sweeps the other team, they have 1 more round to win on their side to win the whole match. It's the same thing in CSGO and other games. It's a very common thing. They stay on the same side for 6 rounds and then they switch. That obviously promotes teams to form and adapt strategies instead of flip-flopping around different spawns. Switching spawns every round is kind of disorienting for players and also the viewers watching, which isn't great. But that also ties in with the lack of minimap that we had. There wasn't a minimap on the tournament stream, so we couldn't really see what was happening. It was very hard to watch, in my opinion. How they'll decide what team plays what side is in the tournament, like in a event tournament. Before the round, the team captains will come together on the stage and they'll flip a coin to see who defends first i.e. be on the blue team. Now in online play, teams will just be randomly selected to play the side like normal. So they'll just kind of be put into the blue team or the red team, whatever, you know, it's just random in that sense. Now, when it comes to a time limit, I'm not really set on this, but I think about 2 to 3 minutes per round makes sense. Could be longer, could be shorter, but it does need testing. But essentially this kind of game mode or style of game mode should fix most of the issues that have arisen, and there will be no need for the cleanup crew that kind of promotes RNG. And I get that Tarkov and BSG want to have their bosses and their AI come in as an homage to EFT, right? In the grand scheme of things, if you want your title or your game to be a successful esports title, you need to try and minimize as much RNG as possible. Obviously, some RNG is good, but I mean, for me personally, being a previous professional PUBG player, I know how much RNG can frustrate players and teams, ultimately frustrate viewers as well. It doesn't really promote a good viewing experience, whereas with this game mode, there'll be no need for that. It'll be more sort of controlled by the players themselves. They are timed. They need to do something in a specific amount of time, otherwise they lose. That just makes total sense to me. Again, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this. I don't know, obviously, how much people have played of Arena, so it'll be hard to kind of judge for you guys. But in terms of what you were watching, if you watched the DreamHack tournament, let me know what you guys think about the game mode and the AI and how they've kind of just like, you know, they ruin 1v1s and they spawn in, and it's just really clunky and odd. So my next suggestion that I put towards the BSG was the gear and the class system and how that works. The gear and the class system in Arena is one that I can definitely see being annoying to a lot of players, simply just due to the fact of there's a lack of customization and freedom. They just have to deal with what they've got, and you'll find that a lot of times players will run the same kit over and over and over again because the other kits that they are presented with are just very odd and weird, and there's some strange setups in there, like a weird scope or a sight. A gun is good but with bad ammo, and then you're kind of forced to use this one kit that's really, really good, and you get used to that kit, and then you just see a meta forming across all of the ranks. I mean, I think there's ranks 1 to 9, right? In terms of the lowest being 1 to the height to the best being 9. And I think you'll see a lot of times there'll be a lot of players running the same kits in each class system because of this. So the lack of customization limits teams and players from forming strategies and playing into what they like or use well. It also means that they can't customize their medical items too, and they'll probably die of bleeding or broken limbs, or ultimately cause huge frustration amongst the player base because of the fact that they can't fix themselves. They want to play a fast-paced game mode. That's what Arena is, but they can't because they're limited and they're gimped by the medical system. But I will preface that by saying that if the class system, this system is kept the same, there should be changes to the medical and health system that I will get onto after this one. My proposal, obviously, Tarkov, main Tarkov, EFT, has a ruble value attached to every item, and you can see this in the sort of the class presets that you get. There is a ruble value attached to each class. So instead of this, give players a cost limit on each class they create, and obviously a maximum of like whatever, 5 classes could be good. I'm not really sure on that one. The cost limit increases at each Arena ranking points level, so ARP level, which is kind of like how you unlock your classes and your sets. After that, you obviously then unlock better items, so that means like meds, ammo, armor, guns, etc. To choose from. This will have to be tested and balanced accordingly, but essentially the cost limit is like a risk versus reward. Basically, it's up to the player to figure out the risk versus reward of certain items so they can build their classes in the most efficient way possible with what they have available to them for their current rank or their current ARP ranking. So this way, you don't really need to balance any equipment, right? If a gun is super powerful, it's kind of the meta that everyone's using right now, you can just change the ruble value to better represent its worth, right? And you don't actually need to change any of the stats of the guns or the armor, whatever yourself. You can just change the value so that then players need to then change that based on their risk versus reward. It'll affect how a player builds their class and will potentially need to sacrifice something to continue using this item. And also, this change would affect how many or which medical items you would bring in, so you can actually pick what items you want to bring. Because from what I've played in Arena so far throughout the 3 weeks before the closed beta testing release, I found myself healing about 3 or 2 bleeds most times in most games. It's quite frustrating. As in one time, I get like a heavy bleed and 2 light bleeds and a fracture. And on top of that, I've got blacked out limbs. My chest is hurt. I need to kind of heal myself. It takes about probably a minute, sort of at the most, to heal yourself. And then by that time, the cleanup crew's coming in and they're going to shoot in the face. I've seen in the tournament, in the DreamHack Hanover tournament, where there was players hobbling back to their teammates during the round to get some kind of medical item from their team to heal themselves and stop this bleed, Otherwise, they'll just fall over and die. But anyway, so that's my proposal for the gear and class system. Essentially just a cost limit of each class. So you can't spend any more than 300,000 rubles on this class. Okay, so I can put this on, this on, this on, but I can't use that because I'm over the limit. Okay, so I can then take away that and use this instead. You kind of have to weigh up your options. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below again about the gear / class system, what you've seen so far, if you've played Arena so far, what you think about that. So this section of feedback essentially ties into what I said previously about the gear class system, which is the medical and health system and how that works. Health and medical system in the main Tarkov, main EFT, doesn't really lend itself well to a faster style of play like Arena, which is what Arena should be. It should be a faster play style. So it doesn't really help when you don't have the right meds to heal anyway as well, because you don't have customization of your classes. As I said, what I found is that regularly players have 2 to 3 bleeds, and I don't have enough meds or even time to fix it usually. So a lot of players you'll find are running around with bleeds or with fractured legs or whatever, hurting themselves even more, and they can't really fix it because they have enough time or enough meds to do so. And this obviously isn't including the blacked out limbs. I'm pretty sure in Arena there is no CMS or surgical kits, right? But if you don't have any painkillers, or if you used the painkiller before, you then don't have anything else to use. I suggest the medical system should be massively simplified from the original in main EFT. Strip it down to this. Essentially, this is my proposal. So no bleeds, get rid of bleeds, and get rid of fractures, but keep the blacked out limbs, but only to serve for the damage multiplier when shot. So obviously when you get shot in a stomach or arms, legs, there is a certain damage multiplier that applies across the whole body. So when it's blacked out, you get shot in the same limb again, it damages other parts. Keep that, that's fine, because that, serves as like a leg / stomach meta kind of thing where people can use that still. So the blacked out limbs also shouldn't hinder movement or slow down at all, right? So you shouldn't have to slow yourself down because you've got a blacked out leg and you're limping across the map. Because obviously Arena, fast paced, you want to have that ability to move around, be quick, be mobile. Having a blacked out limb, if you sprint on it, I suppose damage, if you're sprinting on the blacked out limb, could be a thing for sure. This is an idea, and I'm not sure if people will like this or not. Blacked out limbs automatically return back to 1 HP after about 10 seconds, and they can then be healed by normal means with a Slayer, IFAK, whatever. It just returns back to 1 HP, and then you can heal it whenever you need to, right? After 10 seconds. You'll get your leg blacked out and stuff like that. You can run away, you'll hurt yourself running away, and then after time it'll return back. You can then heal it once you think, the coast is clear, right? And that's fine. But obviously, if the player knows that you're hurting, and then they can push you and there's like 10-second gap, it just makes sense to me personally. Anyway, the normal healing of Slayers and IFAKs and that kind of stuff should stay as normal, but could be slightly faster. This would obviously need testing to see if healing needs to be faster after all of the changes I've just said have been implemented. If they are, will we need to change how fast they are if we don't need to do all these fixing of bleeds, fractures, and all that kind of stuff on the blacked out limbs? Again, let me know in the comments below what you think about that as well. With that being said, I do think that Arena is a great concept, and I am very much enjoying it when I played it. And I think that there is something to be said with the longevity of Arena, and I really hope they take this feedback on board so that they can help Arena become what it should be, which is a top esport that is enjoyed by viewers and players alike. Because at the moment, it's quite frustrating to watch and somewhat frustrating to play when you're slowed down by all the bloat, I think, of Arena. Or, well, I guess the bloat of Tarkov shifting its way into Arena. I think that kind of hurts Arena in the long run. Again, let me know what you think. I keep saying this, but I want to know what you think in the comments. Like, give me some paragraphs. I want to see some opinions here. Whether or not you agree with me or not, it doesn't matter. And you can also chat with me as well on Twitch if you want to. I'll be playing Arena probably quite a bit. Twitch.tv/Hayz is in the description below if you want to go check it out. That'd be great. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, click here for something similar and click here to subscribe for more.